Now, anti-Russia sentiment and anger over alarm clocks. That's a glimpse into an alleged Kremlin campaign to influence the 2016 US presidential election. It's from a database of tweets from supposed Moscow-linked accounts released by an American news outlet. Jacqueline Vuga joined me earlier to talk us through some of the tweets.
For a while now, social media use has been wrapped up along with the allegations of Russian meddling in the 2016 presidential election in the U.S. Scores of so-called Russian bots took over Twitter and Facebook and all social networks in order to influence potential voters and sway the election. That's what the idea is here. And suffice to say, U.S. politicians are more than a little bit concerned about this. Let's take a listen.
They found portals into our society.
Russia has harnessed the tremendous and, quite frankly, to me, frightening power of social media.
Sowing discord in the U.S. by inflaming passions on a range of divisive issues.
Truly troubling evidence of the scope and reach of Russia's interference in our last election.
Well, it's clearly got them wound up. All right then, Jackie, dish the dirt. What's in these tweets?
Well, not what you might exactly expect. These deleted tweets are coming from accounts that are supposedly linked to the Kremlin, and they were published by a news outlet who got a hold of them through a third party anonymously, so it's not exactly clear how they got them. But you'd think that this database would just be chock full of pro-Trump tweets, given that the U.S. intelligence community believes that Putin's goal was to get Trump to the White House. Let's take a listen to what the former FBI director had to say about that.
Putin hated Secretary Clinton so much that the flip side of that coin was he had a clear preference for the person running against the person he hated so much.
And while, of course, there are a number of tweets on the list that either support Trump or specifically against Hillary Clinton, the opposite of that is also true. You can find in the mix tweets in favor of Clinton, encouraging people to vote for her, and support for Bernie Sanders, the other Democratic candidate, was also in the mix. But that also comes along with attacks on Trump himself. So it's all a bit of a confusion that it's all in there. There's support for all sides, while, of course, there is a lot about Trump as well.
Yeah, a bit of everything. Is it all about the election?
No. Many are completely off topic, focusing instead on the hard-hitting woes of sleeping in your contacts, of the dislike for alarm clocks, and because it's the internet, there was also porn in there as well. We've also been told that Twitter bots have been used to promote inflammatory tweets, to get messages to divide people in the country, and yet you can also find among this database tweets that are calling for peaceful solutions, for unity in the country, referring to Black Lives Matter protests. So it's all in there. But the real cherry on the top of this whole story is the fact that there are a number of anti-Russia tweets in this list. And a lot of them are really interesting. They're going on about how Russian hackers were involved in the election, how Hillary warned us against Trump-Russia collusion, and how those ties must be investigated. Let's take a listen to some of the best hits of what are to be found in there.
Please retweet to demand the House GOP do its job and investigate Donald Trump Russian ties.
Things you can't ignore. A Russian plant as your next POTUS.
Some Americans have been subtly radicalized by hate groups. Russian propaganda to elect Trump, perhaps the biggest threat.
And those are supposed to be tweets that are coming from accounts that are linked to the Kremlin. It just doesn't quite fit together. And the internet is, of course, it's just a very divisive place. Everybody has their opinions, and everybody feels free to post them there. So this database really just does feel like a roundup of the typical things that you can find on Twitter.
Well, NBC News, which dug up those tweets, was recently accused of false reporting in its coverage of alleged Russian interference. An official from the Homeland Security Department who was interviewed for its report slammed the network for misrepresenting her words.
We saw targeting of 21 states, and an exceptionally small number of that 21 were actually successfully penetrated.
As you heard there, Jeanette Manfra clearly says that hackers targeted the states and got access to an exceptionally small number of systems, while NBC's headline read that Russians had penetrated US voter systems, changing her words. The network stands by its report, insisting it is accurate and so hasn't made any corrections.